Welcome, welcome everyone. Yay. I am the goddess of radical self-love. Yes, for MECA, make everyone count always. We are a support network for radical self-love and self-care. Following our dreams, passions, goals, and desires. Letting go of guilt and shame, offering ourselves forgiveness and compassion. Becoming master manifestors, conscious creators, and supporting our community's most vulnerable, yes, and those who care for them. When our community's most vulnerable, care receivers, and those who care for them, caregivers, feel supported and valued, the rest of us are assured that we are supported and valued as well. Yes, this is Freaky Friday. Thank you all so much for joining us, all our new subscribers and our family that's been with us from the beginning. Yes, thank you so much for your comments, likes, and shares, and your subscriptions and donations, so we can reach as many of those who need to become radical self-love experts and experts in self-care and master manifesting. Yes, this is Freaky Friday, and I'm being very freaky. I decided Freaky Friday was no pants day. Just kidding. Yes, it's Shark Week. Ooh, ah, ah. How does it go? Ooh, ah. Whatever. I'm not feeling well, so that's why we're here in my bedroom. So welcome to my bedroom. This is my boyfriend, Maslow. Yeah. I'm like, now he does have a name. So, we pulled for the energy reading today, Santeria, Earth, Shango. I'll show you again while I'm reading so you guys can take Shango in. Shango, bright king, firm ruler, master of magic. Your kingdom resounds with the praise of your name. Spear in hand, feet on earth, you are invincible when facing enemies. That's a good energy, I guess, to have for this week. Head in the air, seated on your throne, you are regal when helping friends. Great power and proud bearing carry you through the land. In Guinea, a great king once ruled. The flowers of victory, the ruling and ruled through the art of his mastery. His power was great and complete. He knew the arts of war as well as he knew the arts of magic. His actions ranged from benefit to tyrannical. Great power and accumulation bring jealousy. Boy, do they ever. At one time his enemies massed and his palace was burned down by lightning. Shango went into the jungle and there, some say, hung himself. Others say that he ascended into the heavens. He passed into the realm of the invisibles and over time became the great Iowa he is today. The cry of his followers is Shango does not hang. The figure of Shango is noble and nobility is called forth by nothing so much as by tragedy. Tragedy propels nobility to its full measure. There is knowledge in his fall, and this knowledge gives rise to ascension. Shango is the king, become powerful, thrust from his worldly throne into the world of the invisibles. Shango is the model of the mind risen to great heights that walking in days of pride stumbles over the thick growth of its own hubris. But the but the power of Shango is that the mind working through the earth. His is the grace not so much of creation as of administration. Through wise administration, the elements are arranged in such a way as to benefit all. His tale contains a serious warning. In a coffee shop conversation, I was told that John Coltrane once said words to this effect: "When some have more than they need, then others are going to have less than they need. We are all parts of families, both large and small. If we prosper and our brothers and sisters do not share in our wealth, then the judgment of the ancestors will be upon us. To amass too much is to invite the retribution that flows freely through jealousy." In this context, the story of Shango can be interpreted in two ways. If he has amassed too much wealth, then he took on the form of the hanged man, zombie, we just had, right? And underwent its enforced sacrifice. If he ruled in a wise fashion, then he went into the jungle or deep places of the soul, and from there ascended to the heavens to rule with greater power and wisdom. The primary aspects of this card are wise rule and adherence to family obligations. Contemplation. When some have more than they need, then others are going to have less than they need. Divination. Family obligations fulfilled bring bounty to all. Family obligations ignored bring destruction. Wise rule. Control of a situation used or misused. Excellent skill. Yes, thank you, Shango, for your important messages of controlling our egos, right? And understanding that we are all one. You know, capitalism can work and does work. We just have to remember as we ascend the ladder that we were once on a lower level and needed many others to help us rise. So the ones on the bottom are the ones always holding up the top. Yes, they are. So, Freaky Friday. Yes, I may paint, I may not. I think I'll probably stay up here. Yeah. And make jewelry. Well, make our breathing bracelets, right? And my crown. One of the crowns, anyway. I have some. We're going to go over a little bit of something. I know we should be reading from my boyfriend Maslow today for Freaky Friday, be our true, authentic selves, right? However, we're going to continue our subject of last week, having to do, though, last week was shiz. Sorry, I'm messing up my screen. Sex, tantric sex, right? Tantra, and I really do, for the Patreon channel, want to read and go over wearing the body of visions. However, I think we want to start with something less complicated. So I think we're going to go through the karmic healing book that I have. Yes. So we will probably start that tonight. But wearing the body of visions is all about Tantra energy. It's a very good book. So, a guide, I should say. I have guides, lots of guides. So, the reason that I wanted to talk again about not so much sex in general, more about the male-female relationship, right? Well, really, can male and females be friends? Males and males, I guess, and females and females. I'm talking about heterosexual individuals, male and female relationships, right? Can you just be friends? And I have been told many times throughout my life they cannot be. But I've had many male friends. Some I still continue to have today. However, most of those really strong relationships that had nothing to do with sex were from my childhood, and then I have a few others that carried on as well from my 20s. So, and I definitely see them as my brothers, right? And most of the time I would say, oh, just because I've had an incident come up and it's gotten quite straining on myself. So I wanted to talk about it because that's what we're going to do here, right? I mean, like, if things come up in my life, I'm sure there's been times that they've happened in yours. And yeah, so that's what we're doing. I'm so hot, I feel like I'm going to die. So, sorry about that. Something happened. Basically, I've had some interesting things happen. Not interesting. We have to first understand that a lot of times transference is going on when, let's say, well, there's a good one here I want to just read. A few good ones. So this article, so where I'm going to read a few articles and we're going to decide then throughout what fits best, right? So you're going to come up here so I can see better. This one is Medical Daily, Platonic Love, Men and Women Just Friends. Let me see. I don't have a name on that one other than, I'll leave the links in the description too. Friends, lovers, or nothing. A friendship, attraction, or connection devoid lust is a bona fide bond, and science suggests it does exist. A study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found bonds between men and women are changing, with both men and women in cross-sex friendships more often seeing each other as friends or confidants rather than romantic interests. Participants who reported no physical or sexual attraction to their friends were in significantly longer friendships compared to those who felt an attraction. Obviously, those who felt an attraction, obviously, those ones ended probably because of the attraction. right? The findings suggest types of bonds other than romantic connections can and do occur in friendships between males and females. April Massini, relationship expert and author, agrees and believes that at some point, an opposite sex friendship, one personal, usually develops romantic feelings for the other. This idea that men and women can be friends is fraught with obstacles, she told Medical Daily. She added, they can't be friends, and if they think they are, the clock is ticking. Eventually, one person will have a crush on the other. And that has definitely happened multiple times in my life. But I do think that if it's let's say a male who's married, he might be having issues with his wife, and then because your relationship seems so good, he uses transference from like what he wants from his wife to you as a woman. I'm talking about. So that's one. Attraction can add fun or excitement to a friendship, like Massini suggests. It becomes an obstacle. Physical and sexual attraction is seen even in men and women who are platonic friends. A 2012 study found that the majority of opposite sex friendships, there's at least a low level of attraction. Men reported more attraction and stronger desire to date their female friends than women did their male friends. These men were also more likely to overestimate how attracted their platonic female friends were to them, while women underestimated how attractive they were to their male friends. The researchers noted the more attracted a person was to their platonic friend, the less satisfied they were with their current romantic relationship. So it drives me crazy that I even have to say it, that my ex would always tell me, like, there's no way you can be friends with a male because they'll always end up wanting, they actually are just waiting for you to break up and then date you. And I was like, no, 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 not true, not true, not true. But so many times it happened after he said that I kind of do agree. And the ones who are married, only depending on how intimate the friendship is. And if you start telling them things about your relationship where it gets more intimate and they start thinking that they could be a better fit for you, or maybe you think they could be a better fit, vice versa, you know. So if they were less satisfied with where they were in their current romantic relationship, let's say I was, then I would see somebody who I had seen as a friend as a possible mate, right? Possibly. Evolutionary speaking, the researchers believed our hardwired mating instincts have an effect on whether we can truly be just friends with anyone of the opposite sex. Men tend to report more attraction to their female friends than women to male because men face the risk of being shut out genetically if they don't take advantage of various reproductive opportunities, according to lead researcher April. Yeah, April. I don't know. I can't even talk today, so I can't talk any day, but I feel like crap right now. I'm doing my self-care. That's why I'm in my bed. Just 1 second. Alrighty. So the argument is that men have evolved to far more sexually opportunistic, wrote Lasky in a paper, right? The attraction men and women develop in cross. Well, and that's one other thing, that opportunistic being like when they see the relationship start falling apart, right? Or like there's their opportunity, I guess. But also, if you're confiding, for me, in a male, and you know you feel like he's really part of your support system, um, and maybe he wants to come in to rescue you in a way, you know, whether you're in a relationship or not. Like that whole thing can play out. The attraction men and women develop in cross-sex relationships may also be due to the repeated exposure effect. The psychology, this is in psychology, this is when a person is exposed to another person repeatedly and begins to let their guard down over time. Their inhibitions begin to disappear and they will start to like the other person. This is perfectly normal and it happens to all of us. So, defining the friendship. Yes, this is what I need. Defining the friendship. When we develop a sexual attraction to someone, we're involved with socially or with whom we are in frequent close proximity, we are left to decide whether or not to act on it. These levels of attraction do affect the guy-girl friendship bond dynamic, like getting attention from a really hot coworker when we already are involved with someone else. This is when we need to set limits and maintain appropriate boundaries. A survey out of more than 300 college students, 67% reported having sex with a friend. However, 56% of these cross-sex friendship pairs chose not to take the friendship to a romantic level after the encounter. This suggests these pairs valued their friendship over sex, or maybe it was really bad sex. Just kidding. Oh my gosh, stupid. The sex session, just kidding. The success of these friendships is contingent on how well both people communicate and respect one another. And that's the whole thing. I really do think it comes down to respect. I mean, like, if you ask somebody if they're interested in dating you and they won't answer you, I would say the answer is no. I mean, I think it's pretty inappropriate to ask someone if they would be interested in dating you if you're married, especially when they know your wife. And this is all going on behind her back, right? I mean, it's not like an open relationship or whatever. And we'll talk about the Maslow being pulled into this too in a second. Healthy guy-girl friendships need to have barriers that girl-girl and guy-guy friendships do not cross. The barrier is recognized by the comfort zone that neither friend in the friendship is allowed to violate. But, I mean, it's not like you have those discussions in your girl-girl or guy-guy relationships. So it gets tricky because it's like, are you supposed to talk about that right when you start a friendship? Or every time that's what I don't understand. The only time you're going to end up having to have this discussion is when something happens, and then it's uncomfortable and it sucks. And it can be a great relationship and somebody just has to take more and take advantage. That's really what it is to me, is taking advantage and them not actually respecting you in the first place. So maybe after everything, how great of a friendship were you actually building? Or were they just waiting for an opportunity? Like, why isn't the friendship enough? Why do they have to have more? What is that about? Ego. And to me, I'm just going to say it now about the Maslow, because anytime we're not getting our needs met, like higher up on and this is why I keep saying radical self-love and love for yourself and respect for yourself and the validation for yourself is the most important thing. And When I say it's really hard to do, it is really hard to do. But I know 100% if you're not going through the daily or the weekly regimen we have with Master Manifestation Mondays, setting your intentions and your self care plan, number one, and then what are your intentions for the week to manifest, right? Tuesday, self transcendence, or I'm sorry, I'm so bad at this today. I can't even remember. My brain is not working. Whatever. Our meditation time, if it's the only time you do it. Um, Walk and Roll Away Wednesdays, like all these things, they're set up. Self transcendence is Thursday, right? Yes. What is Tuesday? Why can't I think? I want to ask my daughter. I'm going to find out. Self transformation. I knew when I asked her, ugh, Transformation Tuesdays. She didn't tell me, but I just know now. And obviously, Freaky Friday, be your true, authentic self, right? Who you really are. Well, I know somebody could come out and say, well, me wanting to be you and expressing that is self authenticating, right? Being my true, authentic self. But throughout the week, you've been given opportunities to care for yourself so you wouldn't need the love and validation from somebody like me who isn't already in your long time goal plan, right? Which would be to have a happy, healthy, positive, productive, fruitful life with your wife. So I know you're not following the steps and guidelines that I'm telling you. If you were, then you would just be able to talk to me about the things that you're going through with your wife, and we could work on those without you transferring what you want from your wife to me, right? So, why can't we be friends? Um, this is one that goes opposite, right, from the first ones. First one. There will be men who will struggle to be platonic with their female friends, friends who used to be lovers. I think it's a maturity thing too, sorry. And lovers who used to be friends. Then there are those who wouldn't think of having sex with their friends and those who do. Men and women can form great friendships, but like Burns said, the sex part always gets in the way when both partners are physically and sexually attracted to each other. Well, that's obviously different. I mean, like if you're not married. And I'm not judging anyone. I'm just saying for me, like it's an issue that I'm going through is how to strengthen my relationships with having boundaries, right? But when do you say it? When do you put the boundaries out there? And like, yeah, but they don't really ever say when you do it. It's better to look at it this way. Sexual attraction is simply an attraction, obviously. So you are deciding whether to act or not, whether to act on your desire. If you know it's going to make the other person uncomfortable and you know it is wrong, then don't act on it, right? Maybe be open and even talk to your wife or your husband. It does not mean it needs to be acted upon. Weighing the consequences of acting upon a sexual attraction may not be worth the weirdness in the relationship that often follows, right? The idea of falling in love with your longtime best friend is the basis of romantic novels, rom-coms, and even fairy tales. They ignite the possibility that this can happen to us. But our life is not a scripted storyline. A best friend of the opposite sex really could be just a best friend and nothing more. Right? Sister, brother, confidant. The bottom line is men and women can be friends as long as there is no lingering romantic interest. Remember, just because we talk to someone about the opposite sex, to someone of the opposite sex about our past, present, and futures, does not mean we're meant to be lovers or soulmates. Deep love comes from a variety of forms, including friendships. Yep, great. If we don't let our sex drive get the best of us, it could be a beautiful thing. So, this one is from classroomsitum.com. Like I said, I'll put these on there. They have rules. Don't get physical. The first step in establishing boundaries with your guy friends is to keep your physical distance. Avoid hugging, which I agree. The hugging with the male friends is, but again, you can hug even if there is attraction and not act on it. Avoid hugging, touching, or holding hands if possible. And I would say some of the clues are like, if some of those things start happening, like knee touching, even some weird hand holding, I don't know. It's like ding, 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 ding. Longer hugs than normal. Somebody invading your space. Men and women can have platonic friendship even if there's attraction as long as boundaries are respected. I should probably wait till the end to say this, but here's the thing. I think part of the reason that it happens to me so often, to be honest, is because I'm like very submissive in my relationships in my actual love relationships, like with a partner. And even if you're talking about politics, and religion often, or like who wears pants in the family, and feminists and issues like that, I think a lot of men could find me more attractive because I am submissive and I am, I would rather have like a head of household, not necessarily always be me, because I'm always making all the decisions for all the kids and with work and everything like that, where it's like in my relationship, I'm like, I just want you to take care of me now. It's more like that than it is like, here, take everything. But I don't think they totally get that. And I'm more of a humanist than a feminist because I have sons and I don't believe that my daughter is any, more important than my sons. And like they're equals and I'm an equal, but I'm not going to say like, everybody kind of has their place for me. That's my opinion though. And like I said, if you're dealing with a man that is more working from their ego, they're going to definitely find some of those traits attractive. But I mean, that's just us talking about what the package looks like, but not really digging in it, because I'm definitely not somebody who's going to let you do whatever. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but doesn't mean I'm always going to be happy about it. So, I mean, being in a relationship is totally different than talking about a relationship, right? Feelings get involved. So yeah, don't get physical. Avoid date-like activities, um, which can be hard if you're having one-on-ones for networking, right? Um, but earn their respect. But I think if you're doing having one-on-ones, then maybe like always have a clear outlook of what's going to happen on the one-on-one. Like, this is, you know, what our intention is for the one-on-one, um, meaning business wise or whatnot, right? Earn their respect. If your friendships with your guy friends involve respect, there is less chance of having overstepped boundaries. But like I said, some of these could be like years and years of relationships, and then all of a sudden it changes. So earn your friends' respect by avoiding name calling, cursing, inappropriate conversations. Avoid discussing intimate details with them and try to keep some of your life private. If you feel like one of your guy friends is overstepping boundaries or not showing respect, put a stop to it immediately. And I noticed too that once there was a stepped over the boundary kind of thing, when I wanted to talk, all of a sudden there was more, God, what is it even called? Of a pushback with this male dominance thing coming towards me, like hands almost in my face and like invading my personal space. And it was like the more little by little, the more he took away from my own space, which was like, ah, what are you doing? So on the Maslow again, if you're not getting what you need in those higher realms, um, if you're going for the master manifestational map or care plan, that's why it's important that we keep checking with it like every week, and making sure that we're getting what we need in those higher realms, like in our community and our family and all that, so that what happens if you're not is you will go drop back down to the lower physiological needs and safety and security needs, like your feelings are kind of really in the safety and security needs, right? And sex is in there. So addictions, including sexual addictions, will start popping up. So that can definitely be why all of a sudden you feel this huge drive for sex and are trying to look for it in other places. So definitely dealing with what is the actual issue in the first place, which would be your relationship with yourself. So you can stop blaming your partner for not giving you what you want. And when you're ready to have an experience with them, like tantric sex, then they might be more open to it because they don't feel dominated by you in a unhealthy manner. Because yeah, I'm submissive, but not if somebody's trying to dominate me. No, it's a very, very tricky game in a weird way, no matter what it is a game. I will only be submissive if I feel completely valued and respected. and like I can trust you. So, which is why I am not with anyone. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, it's the trust. It used to be so easy and freely given for me, which now I understand was like very detrimental, right? It put me in harm's way so often that now it takes time to earn that trust and respect from me, whether you're a significant other or a new friendship, right? It's there's a lot of layers to go through with people, and give it at least a year before you actually think you are on to who that person really is and if you can really spend an extended period of time with them. Some people are really good at it. I'm getting better, but people will always surprise you, right? So I literally paused the video so I could vape. Sorry. Oh my gosh. So the other thing is, even though I had said the last in the last video about tantric sex that when we give our, sorry, now I'm like coddling my vape. When we give our sexual energy to things like pornography or whatnot, right? That we're wasting a very important tool that could be helping us with so much energy, like ascension and growth and even our prosperity, right? Like storing that energy so it's going up with the Kundalini, right? Reaching up through all of our chakras, right? But the thing is, if you need to have an energy experience, then I don't think it's all bad. It's just don't, if you are choosing that over a partner, then I definitely think there's probably some lower level physiological and safety and security addiction issues going on because, it's kind of wasting it when you could have that intimate relationship that will actually lead to growth and health. But if you don't have that, then I don't think it's a problem. That's just my opinion. So we're going to go on though to a Christian's point of view because I do, even though we're a metaphysical channel and we believe in all spiritual teachings, right? All spiritual teachings, all universal teachings. I did find this article, so I did want to touch on that. And then I wanted to look up really quick one thing. So, yes, this is by Paul Maxwell on desiringgod.org. Can Christian men and women be friends? I actually I do appreciate this article though. The question is a power keg. Those who immediately answer yes can hurl as many barrels of anecdotal evidence as those who scream no. If you treat this as a legitimate issue, opinions are given in a tone that implies that the very question violates common sense. Different answers are given, different passages are cited, different hills are constructed and died on. So can Christian women and men be friends? To start, multiple kinds of male-female friendships deserve unique attention. See, I like this because he breaks it up. A single woman and a married man, a married woman and a single man, a married woman and a married man, a single woman and a single man. What do these friendships look like? Should they exist? Does God prohibit them, or are they vital to the body of Christ? Are they obviously inappropriate or undeniably essential in healthy church community? It seems to me, after considering the biblical evidence, that male-female friendships lean even more heavily on a process that exists in all friendships, weighing the risks of the friendship, implementing necessary and loving boundaries into the relationship, reaping unique Christ exalting benefits from the relationship. And I would say, let's replace, I don't want to replace Christ, so don't get offended or mad. I'm saying consciousness, right? So Christ consciousness, being aware of exactly what we're doing, right? So for those of you who are not Christian, replace it with consciousness. Okay? We usually undergo this process subconsciously with each new relationship, evaluating whether the relationship will be determined to ourselves or disobedient to God. And I don't really necessarily like that word, disobedient to God. Like, we're here to grow. It's not about being disobedient to God. It's about being disobedient to your growth. And no matter what you choose to do, you're going to grow from it. So you may even grow more from a experience that you would be a negative experience, right? Going the wrong direction. So, and if it's not, identifying healthy parameters to make the relationship as fruitful as possible, and finally enjoying the ongoing benefits of the relationship. So, even if you do have an encounter with overstepping boundaries, maybe in the end your relationship will be stronger, right? As we ask the question, can women and men be friends? We must realize that each new possibility of friendship between a woman and a man may require a no or yes in various circumstances or at various stages of life. Unavoidable risks. Since any godly male-female friendship will be friendship between two disciplines of Christ, the first step in building that friendship is to count the cost, whether you have enough to complete it, enough information, enough self-control, enough community, enough wisdom. Male-female friendships risk unreciprocated feelings. One person has completely innocent or friendly intentions, and the other falls in love. Between a married person and anyone other than their spouse, the friendship should end immediately. But even between single people, I will say too, though, if there's other things that come into play, like someone's, let's say they're not psychologically healthy, maybe they're going through a manic episode, right? They may need help, and not just for the friendship to end immediately. So, but even between single people, the dangers are significant. Male-female friendships always bring the possibility for awkwardness. Yes, they do. For conflict, for headache. Yes, they do. Like all relationships. Don't you think? All relationships can bring awkwardness, conflict, and, oh, it says heartache, but heartache, headache, either or. Oh my gosh, I'm so stupid today. Oh, I'm in so much pain. Sorry. Oh, someone's thinking, is this going somewhere? That's probably what people are thinking on this video, and someone isn't. This is called the friend zone, and it's very easy for tectonic plates of desire to create exciting and heated friendship, when the heat is, in fact, caused by motivations moving in opposite directions. Oh my gosh, for real. That is so the story of my life. Just kidding. For real. Pretty much. Whether we're desiring or whether we're the desiring or the desired, let's be honest with ourselves. Do we both really want the same thing from this friendship? I don't know. If we don't ask ourselves this question, someone will eventually pay the serious consequences. And I think for the most part, that is always one of the givens. Like, especially for somebody who's going to wait to pounce. They're constantly telling you exactly who they are, who you are and who they are, like, um, the type of friendship is, right? The type of friendship that you are entering. You're part of the family, da 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 da, making you feel safe and that you can trust them. So be careful. Spiritual protection. Wait, Maslow. If we bind, sorry, male-female friendships risk sexual temptation. If we're blindly wandering into male-female friendships with the naive notion that they are no different than same-gender friendships, we are blindly and dangerously mistaken. They are different. This can happen with same-gender friendships too. The same thing. Tragic and heartbreaking trends in the church suggest affairs very often begin subtly or even innocently and end in horrible destruction. I don't think they begin subtly or innocently. I think there's always one person or both who knows exactly what they're looking for, and one's a target, or both are. Patterns of one-on-one intimacy between members of the opposite sex naturally cultivate the kind of intimacy that leads to romance. Solomon writes, "A wicked man with a perverted heart devises evil, continually sowing discord. Therefore, calamity will come upon him suddenly. In a moment, he will be broken beyond healing." Proverbs is my favorite book of the Bible, though it's kind of like a definite guide. I do like it, but who is really a wicked man with a perverted heart? I mean, aren't we all in one way or another? So many times in your life, sorry, but you just have to keep on the straight and narrow, right? Like, know what you're aiming at. That's why radical self-love is so important. What are your intentions? Is this person included in your intentions? Are they in your planner? This is the wrong attitude. We aren't fooling around. There's nothing to worry about. It's not like that. The calamity of the fornication almost always occurs suddenly. Planned. By at least one. It's not like that. Sorry. It always surprises us. And it has surprised me often. It has. I'm sorry. If you tell me what you're one person for months and months and months or years, and then you turn around and act a fool, you're going down. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'll lift you up. You can get some help. We can do it together with your wife. Not all that. I mean, like, we're not going to do it together with your wife. Oh, God. I'm getting myself into trouble. I'm just kidding. You guys know. That is not what I meant. We will get you help with your wife and someone else, not me. I'm not even going to say anything right now. Okay. It shows up at our door with an innocent smile. Or perhaps it leads us to someone else's door, someone's couch, or someone's balcony. Just kidding. The spark of sexual immortality may be the difference of an inch, a glance. Sorry, this is just so bad now. I can't even read it. I'm not rereading that that sentence. The question we must honestly and consistently ask ourselves is, does the structure of our relationship look like kindling primed for a forest fire. If your attitude about your intimacy is relaxed, it is likely set to blaze. Yeah, I mean, seriously, every time you meet a man or a woman and you're going to be friends with them, do you carry a list like, here's my boundaries, here's the contract, sign this shit? I don't get it. When do you say anything? You won't say anything till something happens, obviously. So none of this shit works. I don't know. Help me. Tell me in the comments, please. Male-female friendships risk undermining marriage. It's common for single people to be demonized as the temptress, right? As the temptress. It is not always our fault, okay? That your man comes after us. That's maybe your fault. I'm just kidding. It's his fault because he can't find radical self-love. It's not your fault. Or communication. Maybe you guys need to spice things up. Maybe you guys need a therapist. But demonized as the temptress or the bait, while the married folk are just the victims of prying mistresses or misters. Yeah, like, because we're walking around trying to find all these married men, right? It's such, or men in relationships. It's BS. I mean, obviously the single woman is so easy to blame. And not only single women, but women in general. It's just so easy for women to blame other women, isn't it? Yep. It is. It seems that temptation often comes the other way from the married person to the single. Because we don't have that long-standing, like, you know, how you guys all have those built-in support systems that go on because you're all going to church together and you're all going to this potluck together and you, like, have all these friends and people who believe that you're this strong, amazing couple when you're really not. I mean, not for everyone. I'm just saying the ones that are doing the tempting or whatever it is. I don't know. Praying. Yeah. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it seems that temptation often comes the other way from the married person to the single. For example, Joseph and Potiphar's wife, Genesis, whatever, or at least ambiguous in the case of the church member and his father's wife. 1 Corinthians. The point isn't to condemn or idolize anyone marital status as more protected than the other, right? The point is to recognize the common human element that makes possible the subversion of the marriage covenant if one or both persons are married. A few diagnostic questions are we spending time alone together? Like I said, that's kind of a problem in today's society. Men and women spend time together alone all the time. I mean, not alone time. I mean, if they're out at Starbucks, let's say, they're not alone, right? They're meeting at an environment that has other people. Are our meetings, especially locations, increasingly private? Are we complaining about our marriage or love life to each other? That, I would say, needs to be one of the things that we write down. Write it down. Do not complain about the marriage to the other friend or person or business person, right? Whoever you're with that isn't your wife or husband, don't talk shit about your partner to them. They don't want to deal with it. Are we texting each other privately? Well, that's, again, stupid. We obviously text each other privately. People do it all the time because, well, we're humans. And 50% of the population is either male or female, right? So we're going to be talking to people who are of the opposite sex. So that one's dumb. Cross that out. Do I find myself thinking about them or fantasizing about a life with them? If you're doing that, you better talk to your partner or a therapist or both. Don't put it on the other person, though. The single person or the other person you're having that isn't your spouse, right? Did I find myself excusing intimacy that would be otherwise inappropriate? Potential rewards. God's rewards appropriate boundaries. God rewards clear communication. And I would say the universe rewards, or God, depending on how you look at it, right? The path of life leads upwards for the prudent, that he may turn away from shoal beneath, right? I don't know. So what is the appropriate path for female-male friendships? So they say no private text. That's stupid. No private or secret meetings. Obviously, if it's secret, like top secret, you shouldn't be doing it. No detailed discussion of marriages and love lives, right? God rewards clear communication. God rewards strong community. Why can't we be friends? Oh, that's like another one. So I just want to pause it for 1 second because I want to look at one more thing. Okay, so I was trying to look up something about my experience recently when I went on vacation to my temptation. It still calls for me. Well, all the amazing people I met there too. So it's not just about temptation, but who goes to temptation, and obviously their staff. So it was a really interesting dynamic for me because I got to meet so many different people who experienced sexual pleasure on different formats, right? And the main thing to me that I took out of it, no matter what, was the level of trust that the happiest couples experienced. And it had to do with their level of communication and respect for each other. So that is where I leave it, period. Like, no matter what type of relationship you choose to be in, it can involve more than just your spouse if that's what you have both agreed upon and in your communications, and the level of respect you have for one another. If there's an issue with your communication, then you need to seek help in order for your relationship to grow and flourish. And if you're looking for gratification outside your marriage, then that's on you. But others that you bring into it may not be as happy, and your relationships may end. Yes. So, this was a much longer video than I thought it would be. So I just want to say thank you all for joining me, and I hope you're all getting your Freaky Friday on with as much self-actualization as possible, being your true, authentic, creative selves, using every ounce of your throat chakras in communicating who you are to those you love and to the rest of the world. May you find peace, prosperity, and love all around you. Have a wonderful night.